disaster victims. Have you authorized Elon Musk and his team to have access to Americans' personal data that is housed inside DHS?
Yeah, we're working with them at the president's direction to find what we can do to make our department much more efficient. So I think it's important. This is essentially an audit of the federal government, which is very powerful and needs to have happen. That agency, and one of the things I've been very clear to the appropriators in the Senate and the House is, please give me the authority to reprogram funds. There's funds,
but that's different from him having access to personal data that is housed in.
The president has authorized him to have access.
And you feel comfortable?
So absolutely.
I remember a time when Republicans were very careful about and worried about the government, particularly unelected people.
Well, we can't trust the government anymore.
Having access to personal data.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You are the government.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is that the American people now are saying that we have had our personal information shared and out there in the public.
Elon Musk has access to it.
Yeah, but Elon Musk is part of the administration that is helping us identify where we can find savings and what we can do, and he has gone through the processes to make sure that he has the authority.
You're totally
the president has granted him. I am today by the work that he is doing by identifying waste, fraud, and abuse. And his information that he has is looking at programs, not focusing on personal data and information.
We're here today at the Special Agent Graduating Ceremony, the class of 445, with DJ, who is a Secret Service agent, and also Director Courier.
That's right, and our newest agent.
Yes, we're looking for the best in the...
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to...
You know, I just don't know why we keep doing it. You know, this is very tiresome. Why do we keep going on the CNN, the MSNBCs, the CBSs, the ABCs, the alphabetical news, the fake news? You know, these activists, not journalists, these activist reporters, you know, deranged, Trump derangement syndrome, Musk derangement syndrome. Why do we keep wasting time? You know, they don't want common sense, you know. And what are the left, the liberals, what are the leftists going to say? Oh, this lady right here, hey, she shot her dog. She shot her dog dead. You know, like that has anything to do with anything. She shot her dog. You know, y'all know I'm going to come on here and be real, man. Dana Bash, you know. Got judges trying to turn the planes back around with gang members and criminals and rape. Just they want them to come back to the country. Democrats can't stand up for grieving families, you know, when their policies and they left it wide open, you know. Money stolen, money abused, wasted. People got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. It's a disgrace, man. Look where the taxpayer money is going. I'm telling you, man, Americans should be hotter than fish grease. Everything that has came out in the last 2 months, people should be hotter than fish grease. We should stop wasting time on these CNNs. I'm just saying, man. We got to go through teaching lessons and humiliation. We got to set people straight, set the record straight time and time and time again. Well, let's get into it, family. I hope everybody is blessed, well, healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life, man. One love to the human race. Like I always say, don't give a damn what your skin color is, what your age is, where you're from. I don't care. I am wishing the best in all you guys' life. And common sense is back. We are off in the right direction. And even the polls are saying it. Even the fake news polls are saying it, that we are off in the right direction. The man had a mandate. The man won in a landslide. People want common sense. Common sense is back. They are trying to do everything they can to block what's taking place right now. And it's a disgrace. They're running around setting things on fire, keying people's cars, protesting Elon Musk. You know, it's a mental illness out right now. A mental illness. But let's get into this, man.
The president have said repeatedly that the worst of the worst will be held at Guantanamo. There are a few dozen people there already, I believe. They're right now being held in cells formerly used to house terror suspects. So can you give more specifics about who's there right now, what crimes have they committed, and how long you're going to detain them?
So there are several planes that have transported individuals to the base, and they are in the system and the facilities that, a lot of our worst terrorist criminals have been incarcerated for many years. These individuals are the worst of the worst that we pulled off of our streets.
Who are they?
Murderers, rapists. When I was there, I was able to watch one of the flights landing and them unload about 15 different of these criminals.
And the fake news says, oh, that's not true. The liberals, the leftists, the Democrats say, oh, that's not true. And then we're very, talk about transparency. They pull out the background check, the data, the reports of what the person actually did. And yeah. But the fake news to these lefties, they say, oh, but still, that's not true. The judge says, turn the aircraft back around and drop them off back in the country. And also, I think I want them to vote as well. It's a disgrace, man. I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but y'all get what I'm saying, though, man. It's a disgrace. And it really pisses me off that we got to keep going on CNN.
Those were mainly child pedophiles, those that were out there trafficking children, trafficking drugs, and were pulled off of our streets and put at this facility.
You're building tents for a lot more than, how many are there now?
Well, they're putting up tents that will have the capacity to go up to 30,000 people. That's not stood up yet because a lot of our soldiers that's got there received orders just days ago. I think they've been putting up facilities for the last 5 days.
There are lots of different sort of buckets of people, if you will. You're right now talking about, as you say, again, the worst of the worst, people who you say committed crimes, but it's still unclear how.
You see, this is what I'm talking about right here, man. This is what I'm talking about, right? You could tell everything by the body language, the tone. I mean, Dana Bash.
First of all, whether there are 30,000 people who fit that description.
Right, correct.
Are
there? We are going through the process of identifying those that are on our radar. The president committed during the campaign that he believed we needed to have mass deportation. So we're going after those that have been the violent criminals perpetuating crimes in our communities, also those with final removal orders, and then we'll continue down the priority list.
And will they be held in the tents?
It's potentially, but we're going to keep people safe too. So it depends on how dangerous they are and how they act in these facilities. So we have beds in the United States today that we're using and will continue to use that are ICE detention facilities, but we've got a lot of local law enforcement, a lot of communities and states that want to partner with us too, saying we have facilities if you would like to partner. And I think that's fantastic because that's really what we need is the federal government working with those local officials because they know where these dangerous criminals are.
I just want to ask you about that before I move on.
And I'm glad we finally got an administration that arrests criminals. I mean, man. And y'all know how I cried the other night seeing that video of them walking them criminals out, man. Of walking them gang members out with their hands behind their back. And that's what I advocate for, man. People to be fired, sued, be held accountable, walked out in handcuffs. That is what I advocate for. I'll be real with you. I cried watching that video, man. To see people walked out with their hands behind their back, man. Because these people are walking around in our communities. You see what they've done to beautiful souls that should still be here with us right now. Democrats can't get up and clap, stand up, can't show any love or condolences to the families that have been affected of this crap that they have allowed in. They can't even stand up for a kid with cancer. That tells you everything there. But I was so happy, man. I cried tears. I was so happy watching people be walked out, man. And there's a list of Democrats and individuals that need to be walked out, held accountable with their hands behind their back. And I can't wait. And I hope the Trump administration, people like Adam Shifties, the pencil necks, the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, talking about I'm a leader. The Liz Cheney's, go get Joseph, go get Biden. Y'all go get him, knock on the door, wake him up, put his hands behind his back. And get that lady that was drinking, she's still drunk right now as we speak. People need to be expelled from Congress. That lady need to be deported. The other lady with them wigs and eyelashes, she need to be walked out too. The ghetto one, she didn't ghetto-fied Congress. I'm telling you, that lady, the AOCs, drop her back off at the bar. Take her back to the bar. Just saying. Let's continue though, family. Let me stop talking.
Reports that ICE is over capacity.
There have been reports, but remember, we're continuously busing people back to Mexico, continuously flying people out of the country and repatriating them back to their. So there's still room, absolutely.
The Lincoln-Riley Act requires you at the DHS to detain individuals who have been charged with but not convicted of nonviolent crimes like theft or shoplifting. ICE, you talked about ICE facilities, it comes and goes, but at some point they're likely to be at capacity. So could those people end up at Guantanamo?
I don't know what the president will decide as far as utilizing it. We want to have the capacity. The facilities will look different.
Exactly.
They certainly will not be used if in these prison systems. We have different camps at Guantanamo Bay, different levels of incarceration. We will have some facilities that will be up to the same standards as other detention facilities in the United States. And I don't think the president's going to tie his hands on what he needs to do to make sure that America is safe.
A lot of this, as you said, the timeline for how long people are going to be there depends on whether or not anybody's going to take them.
Right.
So it could be that some people are going to be there indefinitely.
What's interesting to me is the previous administration knew who these people were that were committing these crimes. They knew where these folks that had final removal orders were.
The previous administration, a spit in the face to the American people. The previous administration.
In our country could have negotiated agreements with these other countries to take them back home and didn't. And we saw countries like Venezuela release their prisons and their mental health
what are you doing
individuals
now?
to come to the United States.
Are you comfortable that you're going to be able to not keep them there indefinitely?
I'm super thrilled that Secretary of State Rubio has been actively going out and negotiating, taking people home. So that's part of all the decisions on when we identify people in communities. As soon as we're able to go get them and return them back home as quickly as possible. So my goal is that people are not in these facilities for weeks and months. My goal is that there's a short-term stay. They're able to go incarcerate them, take them, follow the process, and get them back to their country.
That's your goal, but
yes.
You're not ruling out that they could be there for weeks.
I'm not going to rule that out because we are going to continue to make sure that we're talking with every single country, but it's not an option for us to leave people here illegally anymore. American citizens have been put behind people who have chosen to come and break our laws, and that's not going to happen anymore.
Immigration is one of the parts of it, and FEMA is another. On X this morning, Elon Musk said, quote, FEMA is broken, and he said so in response to the suggestion that he shut down FEMA entirely. FEMA is, of course, funded by Congress, has repeatedly been authorized in statute, including by laws you voted for when you were in Congress. Can and should Donald Trump shut it down?
He can, and I believe that he will do that evaluation with his team, and he's talking about it, which I'm grateful for. He'll work with Congress, though, to make sure that it's done correctly and that we're still there to help folks who have a terrible disaster or crisis in their life. He's been very clear that he still believes there's a role for the federal government to come in and help people get back up on their feet. But there's a lot of fraud and waste and abuse out there. And since President Trump has taken over and come back into this administration, we've seen incredible changes.
What's your recommendation to him?
He's talked a lot about doing block grants to states and to local officials. I was a governor, and when I was governor of South Dakota, we saw 12 different natural disasters that hit our state and that were FEMA related, that we had FEMA disasters. So I know it from that level, and I knew every single time that I and the local county emergency management directors, the mayors, the city councils, and the county commissioners, they made way better decisions than the people in Washington, D.C.
If the president came to you and said, "You're my DHS secretary, do you think I should get rid of FEMA?" Excuse me, get rid of FEMA, what would you say?
I would say yes, get rid of FEMA the way it exists today. We still need the resources and the funds and the finances to go to people that have these types of disasters.
Yeah, let me know how y'all feel about that in the comment section, man.
Like Hurricane Helene and the fires in California. But you need to let the local officials make the decisions on how that is deployed so it can be deployed much quicker, and we don't need this bureaucracy.
We still ain't
that's
recovered,
picking and
man.
choosing winners.
You mentioned Congress. USAID is an example, and there are others that I mentioned, that the Consumer Protection Bureau, that are also deemed by statute to be the law. They were put in place and kept in place by Congress.
And off mission. Unbelievable
But
what USAID
you're saying right here that Elon Musk and you are not just going to go in and say, we're getting rid of FEMA, you're going to do it with Congress?
Oh, the president has been clear, too, that he wants to still help people. But what happened by targeting individuals, helping some people and not others, listen, the president just in the last 5 days has closed 80% of the open cases in North Carolina. It's amazing when you have somebody who cares how quickly the response can be. And that wasn't the way that it was under the previous administration. There's people.
You actually have a president. Actually, all we needed was a new president. Someone that cares. America first. Common sense.
That had wildfires 7-8 years ago in the western United States still haven't received their FEMA payments. How are people supposed to pick up
I took a trip with the FEMA director.
Oh, you did?
She cared.
Well, what I appreciated about her, when we...
Are you sure, Dana? Are you sure she cared?
Was when North Carolina got hit, South Dakota did as well. She did come. And I think showing up is a big portion of what needs to have happen.
I do want to ask a couple of quick questions. The Washington Post is reporting that Musk and his Doge team have access to FEMA's sensitive disaster data, which includes personal information about tens of thousands of disaster victims. Have you authorized Elon Musk and his team to have access to Americans' personal data that is housed inside DHS?
Yeah, we're working with them at the president's direction to find what we can do to make our department much more efficient. So I think it's important. This is essentially an audit of the federal government, which is very powerful and needs to have happen. That agency, and one of the
should have
things
happened a long time ago
to the appropriators in the Senate and the House is please give me the authority to reprogram funds. There's funds
but that's
that are
different from him having access to personal data that is housed in.
The president has authorized him to have access.
And you feel comfortable?
So absolutely.
That's why I said, why do we go on CNN? Why do we go on CNN?
I remember a time when Republicans were very careful about and worried about the government, particularly unelected people.
Well, we can't trust the government anymore.
Having access to personal data.
I'm glad that she said that. Absolutely. We can't trust them anymore. Yeah.
You are the government.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is that the American people now are saying that we have had our personal information shared and out there in the public.
This is why I say it's a very important time for the Trump this second term, this Trump administration we have now, man, to earn and gain the people's trust. And we keep the people's trust, man, because we can't trust anything, especially what's taking place these last 4 years and everything that they're discovering.
Musk has access to it.
Yeah,
you see how this activist tries to flip everything and spin it back and say this and that and try to just push everything onto her. That's why I said I don't know why we go on CNN, man.
Musk is part of the administration that is helping us identify where we can find savings and what we can do, and he has gone through the processes to make sure that he has the authority.
You're totally
the president has
comfortable
granted
with it.
him. I am today by the work that he is doing by identifying waste, fraud, and abuse, and his information that he has.
I tell you, man,
programs not focusing on personal data and information.
We got to stop going on CNN. We just have to stop. What a disgrace, man.